Welcome back to the channel, everybody. How you doing? How you doing? I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here. Today, we are going to do summer TBR in my landscape of emptiness behind me. So this is my summer TBR. I had a pretty good reading TBR for spring, sure, if that makes any sense. But yeah, my spring TBR was pretty good. I was very impressed. So next video will be about the wrap up, so get ready for that. But I was very satisfied with almost every single book I read. There was a couple that I was like, well, I mean, I didn't have high expectations, but this is the summer one, and I picked too many books for my spring TBR that I realized when I was getting closer and closer towards summer, I was like, holy crap, I picked way too many books. So some of them are rolled into this. And because of the situation of my moving, literally all my books besides the three right here are all packed. Like everything's packed. So I'm gonna just do like pictures or something on the side just so you guys know what books I'm talking about. So anyways, none of these books are organized of like each month or whatever, but these are just 13 books I have for the summer to read and I cannot wait. First one on here is Books of Blood by Clive Barker. This was on my spring TBR, but I just didn't have enough time. I was a little upset because I was really looking forward to reading a lot of these books that I have on here, but now they just got to roll over into summer, and now I have like a series I wanted to read. Now I had to push that into fall, stuff like that. It just was a little disappointing, but Books of Blood, I'm very excited to check this one out. It's been sitting right next to my chair of wanting to be read, and I'm like, dang, not today. I have to push you along. So it was a little sad. These are the next two pretty simple ones. One is Hannibal, because I didn't get to read that one for the spring, and I'll be reading Hannibal Rising. I just think the spring was just a lot of books I was just wanting to get out of the way, mostly like ACOTAR, and I wanted to read all of Emily Henry's books to get caught up. So it's just a lot of these books are more of the darker tone. They're not the romance, cute little romance things. They're definitely more brutal and darker and thriller-esque. We're now summer books, so happy Summerween. But yeah, so I'm going to finish the Hannibal series. I think it's just called the Hannibal series. I think that's what it's called. I have no idea. We'll be reading Hannibal and Hannibal Rising this summer. Speaking of Emily Henry, I have one last book from her, and that is Book Lovers. That is the last book I'm going to be reading from her, and I'm actually really excited to get it out of the way. Not like I'm like, oh, thank God we are over. It's more of like, sweet. That's part of my goals for the year is reading 5 of her books, and technically I have read 5 of her books already, but now with Book Lovers, I'm all caught up with all of her little romance books. So that's really exciting once I finish Book Lovers. Every TBR season, I try to do like a book series or something that is maybe 3 or 4 books long or whatever. Just something to try and read them through each season I read. Kind of like the ACOTAR series where I started ACOTAR, I think the end of January for the last book I read for January. And then after that, I finished the series for spring. So now this is going to be the Dune books. The first 4 books that were written by Frank Herbert. I'm not going to read anything from Brian Herbert. I've heard nothing but bad things about it. A lot of people compare it to like how Disney is with Star Wars, where they're like, yo, you have the original trilogy? That's goated. Prequels, I don't think they're amazing. Maybe that's a hot take. Whatever. But then you got the Disney movies, which just sounds hilarious, but those are really bad, which is the truth. I think they are awful. So I just want to read the original trilogy. I want to enjoy that. So I decided I'm going to read Dune. I'm not the biggest sci-fi guy, but I want to read the thing that inspired Star Wars. And I love the Dune movies. I mean, part 1 and 2 is awesome. I watched them both in theaters. Great experience. Do not regret that. I plan on reading Dune 1 through 4 this summer. To finish off another part of my lovely goal list of the year, that is reading 4 Cormac McCarthy books I have, and that is Blood Meridian is the last one. The most brutal of the 4 is Blood Meridian. I read The Road last year, and then for spring I read No Country for Old Men, and I read All the Pretty Horses. So gotta read the darkest, most disturbing one. It's also in my list of top 10 books I want to read for disturbing books, so figured let's just do that. So yeah, I'm trying to change my TBR every time I do a TBR. I want to try and do cute little romance stuff, and then some epic fantasy, some sci-fi, and then some just disturbing things. So it's like, what is wrong with me? Some horror. I'm trying to mix it all in there. And I think this one is actually pretty diverse for the genres, and I'm really proud of that. But I'm really excited to get into Blood Meridian. And like I said, I really overstepped for spring. I don't know why. I was just feeling, I'm like, oh yeah. I just miscounted like all my Mondays and just miscounted everything of what I was gonna do. And with that being said, this arc had to be pushed for the summer, which I think it fits because One Piece feels like it's just like a summer read, I guess. And that is going to be the 4th arc, which is I think Water 7, I think it's called. I could be completely wrong. I think that's what it's called. But that's the next arc I'm going to be reading for One Piece. If you guys have seen my previous One Piece videos, you can tell I'm not the biggest fan of it so far. And this is the last arc I'm going to read. This is it. If it's not good, if I don't sit there and be like, this is game changer, if it does not do that to me, then I'm done with One Piece. So yeah, I'm gonna be reading this arc sometime. Usually I read manga throughout the whole season just because, and then when I'm done with it, I'll post it. And in the fall, I have a really cool thing of what I might try and do for manga. So I'm pretty excited. You guys already know, October is usually where I get really funky with some cool videos and try to, because I love horror stuff. So yeah, I am going to read One Piece. On my lovely goal list for 2025 is I want to read 5 books from Dean Koontz. And this spring, I think I only read 1 book from him for the spring. And with that being said, I picked another one from him for the summer, and that is Icebound. I know, it's perfect for the summer. Icebound looks like it's something like in the Antarctic, I think. Perfect for the summer. You know, global warming, of course. So with that being said, I'm going to read that, and then I think I'm going to try and push to do 2 more books from him for the fall and early winter, just so I can say, hey, I did my goal for that. And I do have another book series I need to read to make my goal finished. I think it's going to be fitting for more of the fall. This series I got to finish out. There's 4 books left in it. If you guys know, you know. But the last one on here is the Dragonlance trilogy. Now, Dragonlance is like 40 books, but they're all broken up into trilogies. And I actually bought the first 3 of them a long time ago. They're mass paperbacks. You guys know how I am with mass paperbacks. And I bought them, and I sat back and thought about it the other day when I was writing down this list. I'm like, why do I not read these? Like, I have them. Worst case is, if I don't like them, oh well. I spent, I think it was like $10 for all 3 of them. So, worst case is, I DNF the first book, and then I call it good. But to me, I'm like, you know, I haven't read fantasy in a while. So, well, I mean, ACOTAR, whatever. These are completely different kind of fantasies. I haven't read this fantasy, high fantasy, in a while. So I decided, let's get into this. I mean, I did Wheel of Time last year, which was alright, I guess. But I'm hoping with Dragonlance, I could just, these are kind of like filler books. That's kind of like my idea, is I'm going to dip my toes into the first trilogy, see how I like it, and if I really do like them, I might do a book a month or a book every other month, something like that, and then just review a trilogy at a time. I don't know if I'm going to review 1 book at a time, but I might do trilogies at a time. We'll see what happens, and if that does happen, maybe I'll have a little bit of free spots for more books for the summer. If that's true, then you guys are going to be surprised on a Monday when you see a different book review. If you guys made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. What do you guys have planned for the summer? For what are you reading? Are you one of those people that's like, ooh, it's summer, I have to read nice, warm summer books? Or are you like me, just read really disturbing books for the summer? I would love to know down below. And last but not least, stay safe, stay humble, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay weird.